And by the end of this night, she wasn't my wife anymore. She was Exhibit A. I remember gripping the microphone so tight my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from the weight of 12 years collapsing in one night. 300 guests in tuxedos and gowns stared back at me. Behind me, the projector screen waited, just one button away from turning a glamorous gala into a courtroom of truth. She thought she was untouchable, that her new lover would make her shine brighter. But in a few seconds, I would reveal everything. The secret Manhattan apartment, the stolen corporate files, and the twist that would ruin them both forever. So let me ask you, if your spouse betrayed you in front of hundreds, would you walk away quietly? Or would you make sure everyone finally saw the truth? Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan Miller. Before the betrayal, before the gala, life looked very different. 12 years earlier, I was just an architecture student in New York, sketching buildings I dreamed might touch the skyline. Olivia Carter was the girl with an infectious laugh and bold ambitions in public relations. We met in college, over midnight pizza runs and road trips to nowhere. She wore vintage band t-shirts, and I carried a sketchbook always half full of unfinished dreams. Somewhere between caffeine-fueled study nights and whispered promises, we decided we could conquer the world together. Back then, happiness wasn't complicated. It was two people against the world, until the world slowly pulled her away from me. And if someone had told me this woman would one day destroy me, I would have laughed in their face. Olivia's climb up the corporate ladder was fast, almost dizzying. The quirky girl in vintage shirts had been replaced by a polished professional in tailored blazers and designer heels. Late nights at the office became her new routine, and the warmth of our shared rituals faded into the background. I tried to convince myself it was just ambition, the same fire that first drew me to her. But then came the company's summer event. That was the night I first saw Richard Hale. He carried himself like someone born for admiration. Harvard-educated, confident, with a smile that seemed rehearsed for boardrooms. During a casual volleyball game, I watched him stand close behind Olivia, guiding her swing, his hands brushing hers as though they'd done it 100 times before. She laughed, bright, unguarded, the kind of laugh I hadn't heard directed at me in years. And in that moment, I felt the ground shift beneath our marriage. The first crack had appeared. That night with Richard should have been my wake-up call. But I pushed it aside, convincing myself I was imagining things, until our 10th wedding anniversary arrived. I had planned everything with care. Reservations at the restaurant where we'd had our first real date, a bottle of her favorite wine, flowers waiting on the kitchen counter. 10 years together deserved more than just routine. At 6:30, my phone rang. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. There's a client crisis. I can't get away." Her voice was hurried, distracted, like I was an afterthought. I stared at the flowers, the candles I'd lit, the empty chair across from me. For the first time, I felt the weight of being invisible in my own marriage. When Olivia finally came home past midnight, her hair was tousled, her makeup smeared, and she smelled of wine and a cologne that wasn't mine. She moved carefully through the room, as if not to disturb me, unaware that the real disturbance was already inside my chest. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I watched in silence, knowing the storm was only beginning to gather. The anniversary night broke something inside me. I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I called Marcus Vega, a college friend turned private investigator, a former Marine who now made a living uncovering secrets most people prayed would stay hidden. Over beers in a dimly lit bar, I told him everything. I need to know if I'm paranoid, or if my marriage is already gone. Marcus studied me for a long moment before nodding. I'll find out. But be prepared. Some truths cut deeper than lies. Within a week, he had results. Photographs of Olivia and Richard in the Hamptons, strolling hand in hand like newlyweds. Receipts from luxury hotels and restaurants, paid with cards that weren't ours. And then, the lease. A Manhattan apartment under both their names. But the detail that hollowed me out most was the bank records. Olivia had been siphoning money from our joint account to help cover the rent. It wasn't just betrayal of the heart. It was theft of the life we'd built together. And then came Marcus's final blow. Richard Hale was already married. His wife, Dr. Emily Hale, a pediatric surgeon, had no idea her husband was living a double life. In that moment, I realized Olivia's lies were bigger than me. They were about to destroy more than one family. I asked Marcus to arrange a discreet meeting. That's how I found myself across from Dr. Emily Hale in a quiet cafe near the hospital. She was composed, professional, but I could see the storm brewing in her eyes as I laid the photographs and bank statements on the table. She studied each page with surgical precision. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady. "I'll file for divorce." Quietly. "I don't want a scene," I leaned forward. "Emily, they humiliated us in public. They built their affair on lies everyone else cheered for. The truth deserves the same spotlight." She looked at me for a long moment, then closed the folder. Her expression hardened into resolve. "You're right. We won't smear them. We'll just show the facts. Let people see who they really are." That night, our alliance was sealed. Two betrayed spouses, united by truth. Once Emily agreed, the plan began to take shape. I visited the Art Institute a week before the charity gala, walking the halls, studying the lighting, memorizing the flow of the evening. Every corner became a blueprint in my mind. An architect's eye turned toward revenge. On Olivia's laptop, I found the guest list she had left open one night. Executives, investors, clients worth millions. Perfect witnesses. Marcus provided the tools. Hidden cameras disguised as pens, audio bugs smaller than buttons, and a wireless system capable of overriding the venue's audiovisual feed. I tested everything twice, then again, until failure was impossible. The slides told the story. Photographs of Olivia and Richard together, credit card records and hotel receipts, the lease for their Manhattan apartment, emails where they traded stolen data, plans to start their own agency with clients they were preparing to steal. Emily promised she would stand and confirm every piece of evidence. This wasn't revenge theater. It was truth, staged in front of the very people they had deceived. The gala unfolded like a scene from a glossy magazine. Crystal chandeliers glowed overhead, champagne glasses clinked, and the air buzzed with money and ambition. When Olivia's name was called to present the Creative Excellence Award, she walked to the stage radiant in black silk. Her voice was steady, confident, rehearsed. And this year's recipient represents everything we strive for: vision, innovation, and bold ideas. She opened the envelope with a smile that belonged on billboards. Nathan Hale. Applause thundered as Richard, polished, smug, rose to accept his award. He kissed Olivia on the cheek, lingering a second too long. They stood together at the podium, bathed in admiration. That was my cue. I stepped onto the stage, microphone in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have one more moment of your time." The room hushed, puzzled. Olivia's smile faltered. I clicked the remote. Behind me, the first photograph filled the screen. Olivia and Richard holding hands on a Hamptons beach. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Slide after slide appeared. Hotel receipts, credit card charges, the Manhattan lease. Then the emails. Olivia transferring confidential client data, planning a new agency with Richard. This, I said, voice even, is what true collaboration looks like. Chaos erupted. Executives whispered furiously. Investors pushed back from their tables. Emily Hale rose, her voice cutting through the noise. As Richard's wife, I can confirm every piece of this evidence. And I have documentation of additional financial misconduct. The room exploded. Security moved in as Richard shouted, his award slipping from his hand. Olivia sat frozen, pale as marble. I turned toward her one last time. What's destroyed tonight isn't our marriage. It's the lies you chose instead. The fallout was swift, merciless. Olivia was fired within 48 hours. Her reputation, once polished, envied, evaporated overnight. Industry contacts stopped returning her calls. Clients severed ties, and an internal audit uncovered suspicious expense reports and conflicts of interest that hinted at deeper fraud. The woman who had once dreamed of ruling the PR world now found herself blacklisted, untouchable. Richard's collapse was even more brutal. Emily filed for divorce immediately, armed with irrefutable evidence. The court granted her primary custody of their children, citing his instability and financial misconduct. On top of that, Vertex's legal team invoked clawback clauses in his contract, demanding repayment of years of bonuses and stock options tied to his falsified performance. What pride he carried on that stage turned to ashes in days. The company itself bled heavily. Morrison Tech, the firm's largest client, terminated its multi-million-dollar contract by the end of the week. Other accounts followed, unwilling to risk association with scandal. The board of directors convened emergency meetings, announcing an internal investigation into data breaches and misconduct. The glamorous facade of Vertex Communications crumbled, leaving executives scrambling to salvage what was left. And through it all, I stood apart, watching the empire they'd built on lies collapse under the weight of truth. The divorce was almost effortless. With the evidence so overwhelming, Olivia had no leverage. I kept our Manhattan condo, our savings, and more importantly, my peace of mind. Not long after, I received an unexpected call. Morrison Tech, the very client Olivia and Richard had schemed to steal, wanted to meet. They had watched the fallout and admired the precision of how I handled the truth. "Would you consider designing our new headquarters?" their CEO asked. It felt like vindication in its purest form. I accepted, eager to build something honest, where lies had once poisoned everything. That's when I met Sophia Reyes, a fellow architect assigned to the project. She was brilliant, steady, and unafraid to challenge me. Working with her felt different, like collaboration, not competition. For the first time in years, I wasn't shrinking myself to make someone else shine. Instead, I was rebuilding, brick by brick, not just my career, but a life rooted in balance and respect. Looking back now, I realized something important. I didn't just expose Olivia and Richard, I reclaimed myself. For years, I had been shrinking, dimming my own light so she could shine brighter. The gala wasn't only about revealing their lies, it was about refusing to let those lies define me any longer. Justice came in many forms. Olivia lost her career, Richard lost his family, and the company nearly collapsed. But the greatest victory wasn't their downfall. It was the life I built afterward, a life rooted in truth, balance, and dignity. Marcus still checks in with me. We grab a beer sometimes, and he jokes that my case was the cleanest takedown he's ever seen. And Sophia, she's become more than a colleague. She challenges me, steadies me, and for the first time, I feel like I've met someone who values both my work and my soul. The best revenge isn't destroying the people who betrayed you. The best revenge is refusing to let them destroy you. So I'll leave you with this. What would you have done in my place? Would you have walked away quietly, or made the truth public for everyone to see? Comment your answer below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories where betrayal meets justice.